Hi to those of you who are watching on the live stream. It's great to have you here at the Soshin Temple for our session this evening. Tonight, we're going to be looking at acceptance, expectations, and non-attachment. How to be just really more present with life and move through life, engaging with what really is rather than what's in our head. So the tradition we have here is I'm going to ring the bell. We'll line up, and as we come in, we bow to the enlightened being. If you're here, I invite you to make that extra special. Are you bowing to the part of you that can be strong? Are you bowing to the part of you that wants happiness and kindness? Are you bowing to the part of you that imagines wisdom and enlightenment for all beings and is dedicated to it? Just connect with the best part of you and with everyone as you bow to the enlightened being. And if you're watching on the live stream, maybe each bow you see, you can just take a few breaths and imagine cultivating that inner goodness. And we're going to start with our intention setting. So I just invite you to think about that you're taking some time here to make it precious. Think of it as a gift to yourself, a gift to your life, a gift to your future. You're cultivating being more at peace in all situations. You're cultivating a more tranquil mind, more wonderful feelings. And it's not just a gift to yourself, it's a gift to the people you care about. As you become more peace, everyone around you experiences more peace. Just imagine that for a moment and really set the intention. As when I say set the intention, envisage it or feel it. Dedicate yourself to it. You're making your world more lovely. I also invite you to set the intention that tonight's session will make you stronger and wiser, able to handle any situation. Or at least what you learn tonight will help you with many situations. And as you continue to practice, you work towards a state of mind that can handle any situation. And I also invite every one of us to imagine, to set the intention, the most wise you, if you practiced every day, infinite peace, watching your awareness and like a beautiful artist, making every thought and everything you put your attention on, make it wonderful. Just how sweet, how wise your life, your mind will become. And tonight's topic is about acceptance. So I want you to hold those both in mind. Loving and accepting yourself right now for who you are, for what your journey has brought you to. Being able to completely accept what is and what has been. And then lovingly inspiringly work towards what you will create and what you will cultivate. Okay, so with that intention setting, I invite us all to grab a seat. All right, let me just check people on the live stream. And so Eka says hi to everybody, wishing us all good vibes. I can see there's a few more people on the live stream. Please write in the comments, and I'll try to notice them and respond. You could be following on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch. It's a pleasure to have you all here. And especially anyone who's here in the temple, you know what I always say, this session's for you. I want you to keep it real, keep it awesome. If you have any questions, if you have any wondering how you'd apply it, jump in. Let's make this as engaging and as practical as possible. Okay, so I would like to start this evening's session by jumping straight into a meditation. We're going to have some time of calming the mind and observing the mind. And we're also going to have some time to contemplate acceptance and peace. So I invite everybody just to get comfortable. If you're new to meditation, you can think of it as an intentional daydream. Or maybe you've had time where your friends were like, "You're great, you can do it." It's like some time doing that for yourself. Some of the time it's calming yourself and soothing yourself, and some of the time it's giving yourself love and encouragement. So we get ourselves comfortable to let the body relax and the mind relax. Many of us know that we have things we were thinking about during the day. We have emotions that we put our experience into. And I like to think of the start of meditation as just to let all of that settle. And we found that letting the body relax helps the mind relax. And you might notice that I've already started to slow my voice down, which feels relaxing to me, and I hope you also notice that it feels relaxing. And if you've been meditating a lot, you might already just be breathing, and your inner voice may have already just disappeared and you'll be in stillness. But if you're newer to meditation, I invite you to notice your inner voice. Notice whatever you're thinking, what words you say. And I invite you to let your inner voice be slower, more soothing. Maybe it will sound a little deeper. Maybe it will have a more calming, cozy quality. You might like to even exaggerate it and just say to yourself, "Relax," or "I am calm." Just to shift gears in your inner voice. So as we keep going with the meditation, you'll keep noticing your inner voice, whether that's words and thoughts, or whether it's images or your attention moving. Just notice and create it to be more soothing, more peaceful. And next we're going to take ourselves a little deeper into the meditation by taking some slow, deep breaths. I invite you to breathe deeper and slower than you normally would. And just really feel it all the way in. And when you breathe out, really feel letting go. Let your body become soothed and peaceful as you take a few more slow, deep breaths. So we're doing two practices right now. One is calming the body and mind, and the other is mindfulness, noticing what your awareness is doing, what's your inner voice like. And you can steer yourself deeper into peace and into stillness as you watch your mind, learning how to shape your mind. You may like to imagine what it would be like to be in perfect peace and stillness. You may notice it helps you a lot to see every little moment and just keep guiding each moment. You may notice that focusing on the breath captures you and soothes you. Just watch your mind and enjoy creating stillness and awareness. At the peak of each in-breath, remind yourself into the meditation. Set the intention for the beautiful out-breath to be present and calm. Set the intention that you're focusing on your mind being still and present. If you notice other thoughts, as much as possible, imagine just instantly that part of your mind also being still. Like the stillness and the peace is just spreading through to every part of you. At the peak of each in-breath, as you fill up your lungs, reset that intention for the whole of this breath to be meditative. Imagine if in every moment of your life, wherever you go, whatever happens, you always had this sense of peace, aware of your inner voice, aware of how you take your focus. And imagine practicing in every moment to make yourself calm, wise, and strong. Or practicing whatever you choose. There are moments where you would choose to laugh and feel funny and brave. Moments where you'd choose to feel focused and strong. There'd be moments where you choose to be patient and loving. Just imagine moving through every part of your life, and instead of reacting to things, just always choosing. Watching your mind in each moment, with each breath, moving your awareness into the things that would make your life beautiful, fun, inspiring. And when you're ready, you're going to bring your awareness back into the temple. Maybe you can take a moment to enjoy any insights you had, or perhaps you feel really nice, a sense of inner peace, or a sense of more spaciousness or more awareness. Just let yourself enjoy whatever you cultivated. CV has just joined us on the Facebook live feed and sends a love heart smiley to us all. So welcome. So tonight's topic is about a few very interrelated themes. Expectations, non-attachment, and all the things that come with this awareness. So I'd like to start by sharing a philosophical perspective. You know, in our life, really, we're just these creatures, and we're living on planet Earth, and it's a rock, and we built these shelters, you could imagine some alien coming down and looking at us and thinking we're animals that have a very intricate way of singing to each other. In every moment, we're just these creatures just getting by. But how much more of your life is like your thoughts about what's going on, and your thoughts about what's going on in somebody else, and the things you want to do? Throughout our moments, we have all this other stuff going on. But if we remind ourselves to just see only what is, just the real things are a lot more simple. And welcome. Grab a seat. So if there's one part of us that's able to just see what is, removed from all the stories we have, it's like this foundation of peace or strength. And if you're just seeing what is, or just what exists, and you remember what's in the past, well, some would say actually there's only the present moment. If you're just seeing what is, all you've got is right now. What do I do right now in this room? What do I do right here with these people that will make this moment as beautiful, as flourishing, as good as I can? Being accepting of what is brings this deep sense of acceptance and present moment. And being able to separate what is from our story is something I encourage everybody to check in with multiple times a day. Which part of this is definitely true, and which part is my attitudes, my story, my expectations? And yeah, it can be great to also have intentions. What do you want to do? What would you like to create? How would you like to make your friendships? What kind of projects do you want to do? That's great. But on one level, I also hope every one of us has a deep connection with what is this moment here. So I invite you just to imagine for a moment what it would be like to go through your day and just kind of step out of your thoughts and feelings every now and then and just look around. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the air coming in and out. Just see the people without the emotional reaction you have to the people. Just to be present. It's like a reset button that you can have anytime you want to just be fresh with what is. So I start with that because everything else we're going to do today is looking at the stories that we have, the expectations we have, and how to hopefully let go or transform the ones that don't help us, and how to navigate our experience of each moment more wonderfully. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts or responses to what I've said so far? It's great to see so many people on all the different live streams. Please jump in if you've got anything you would like to say. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is expectations and how they conflict with what I just presented of, hey, what actually is? What's really here? So in Buddhism, they often talk about how expectations are one of the sources of things that can upset us. And I found whenever I notice an expectation and just label it as, oh, that's an expectation of mine, it's not the reality, it kind of releases all the pressure or the weight of that thing and lets me be more at peace. I want to clarify, there are positive expectations. You know, you deserve to be treated with respect, and you deserve to be safe. And if you're ever in a situation where you're treated badly or you're unsafe, I encourage you to get out of that situation. Right now, I'm talking about all the other expectations. I'm talking about when someone's talking to you, and maybe they just didn't talk in the way that you wanted them to talk. You expected them to speak a certain way. Or you were doing a project and you expected it to go some way and it didn't happen as fast as you wanted, or it didn't work as well. So if you go back to that idea of, hey, noticing what really is and trying to train our minds to be really present with what actually is. Noticing that an expectation is just whenever your mind is not in line with reality. And when our mind is in line with reality, things are just so much smoother and easier. So yeah, you may notice your relationship with somebody is not as good as you'd like. So what I'm suggesting is some people will see that and kind of be upset about it. So what I'm suggesting is to say to yourself, okay, right now, this is what it is. And rather than having an expectation, I'm going to set an intention to cultivate or practice it to be how I'd like it to be. Is that clear to everybody, the difference between expecting it right now versus accepting it and setting an intention? I see one nod. Donna says, thank you for creating this. Welcome, Donna. Thanks for being here with us. Welcome, Rautu. Come in, grab a seat.
Hello. Am I interrupting something?
Oh, just grab a seat. We're doing a workshop around how to be more happier and present and enjoy life.
Namaste.
Awesome. So I was just saying to everybody about the difference between expecting things to be a certain way versus accepting things. So I remember there was some point that I was contemplating a lot about expectations and attachments. Like, I need this to be a certain way, or rah. And I started to think of like these attachments or expectations as like hooks in my mind that were like attached to not reality. And every one of those things was like upsetting me or frustrating me. And so I got to this point where anytime I'd see myself feeling blah, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to just unhook that thing. In my imagination, I just did that. And then suddenly I was like, cool. All right, now I'm able to see what's actually going on here. So maybe that idea of just when you notice an expectation, just unlatching it, letting go of it. So I want to just try and make a moment for us all to embrace the awesomeness or the magnitude of what I'm saying. It sounds fine to let go of expectations and have peace. But imagine if you really mastered that. If you just took it internally, every moment I'm going to be peace. Every moment I'm going to just be present with what is and just choose. What do I want to do right now? How do I want to feel right now? What could I say to this person if I was just to bring a whole fresh start to this conversation? For those of you who've got vivid imaginations, I hope you can make that bigger and brighter and start to weave that into your own mind, your whole self being present with reality and fully engaged in each moment. So now I want to talk about acceptance when it comes to the past. Whether it's about things that have happened to us or about who you are. Some of us have picked up some great habits. Some of us have picked up not great habits. Some of us have shaped our lives in ways that are great. We might have a career that we love, or we live in a place that's excellent, or we've made friends that make us happy. And at some time in our life, we've shaped things in a way that is not as great. So I invite every one of you to imagine that whenever you think about your current situation or anything from your past that has shaped who you are now or has shaped your situations right now, if you think about reality, all we can do, the only thing we can do is accept it. It doesn't matter how much you wish or think of something else, you can't change it. You could look at it and you can learn from it and think, what would I want to do differently next time? Or how important is it to set a positive intention for the next time? But in terms to how we react to who we are now or yesterday or our circumstances, the realization that accepting it is the only thing we can do was so liberating for me, and I hope you can see the clarity of that and feel it. Wow, in every moment I can just be present with what is. Then I can let go of any emotional reactions or judgments. You let go of all of that and just ask, what do I want to do next? What do I want to put my time into? What do I want to practice in myself? What do I choose? And I find it this beautiful dichotomy. Some people think of acceptance as hey, I'm just like this and I'm not going to change. But for me, when I accept fully, it's this total liberation. It's this freedom of okay, all of those things are what shaped me to be like that. All the things are what shaped my circumstances. And what do I do now? So we had a request for tonight to be about acceptance and letting things flow. And so I want to now talk about that idea of letting things flow. You might have noticed up until now I was saying, hey, once you accept, you can then choose what you're going to cultivate and choose who you spend your time with. Choose which parts of yourself you give attention and love to and which parts you let go of. If you think about in your life, in your day, there's millions of different thoughts, so many different parts of all the relationships you have, so many different things you're involved in. And yes, it would be great if we were all hyper enlightened beings that could see every single reaction to everything and tweak every part of us and shape your whole self to be a perfectly enlightened being. That would be great. But that takes a lot of practice. And yes, I am advocating practice towards it. But on the way there, there's a lot of things going on. There's how are your, if let's say you've got a job or you're in your studies, there's all the different people that you work with or study with, and you're going to be interacting with every one of them. And yes, you could cultivate to make every one of those relationships much more loving and inspiring. But unless you put in the time, many of them will just be going with the flow. It'll just continue how it was. There might be some good moments that make it better, some not good moments that make it worse. And that's kind of what's happening all the time. If we don't consciously put in some intention, the universe is just rolling. Some spiritual movements call that like samsara. It's like this thing causes this thing, causes this thing, and we're just in this ever-rolling universe. So being able to just be present and just roll with things I think it's a really powerful perspective. Because then as you just sort of see each thing happening, then you can ask yourself, well, which are the really important parts where I'm going to put some intention? Where do I really need to give some kind words? Or where do I really need to listen to somebody? Or where do I need to laugh more? Or where do I want to transform myself in some way? But this idea that the whole world is just rolling on, one cause to the next, one day makes the next thing happen, I find it so beautiful to contemplate that if we're not consciously cultivating, there's just this whole wheel of stuff that we're all caught up in, this like tumbleweed of the universe. But we have something more than that. We are able to be aware. We are able to notice what's going on. And we are able to put our intention into things, to practice. Actually, I really want to make myself more calm in these situations. Or my life would be so wonderful if in those situations I was strong and expressive. And I'm going to practice that. And that actually transforms this rolling tumbleweed of the universe. Or at least you're part of it. Which will then have flow-on effects to others and flow-on effects to others. So I just want to reiterate some of the concepts I've covered. One is the present moment, or like accepting what actually is, without any of the stories, without any of your layers or reactions to things. Just being able to see the floor, see the cushion, see that there's being sitting here, there's leaves falling, feeling the breath coming in and out. Just letting yourself be present with what is, and also bringing yourself present into right now. It's a powerful shift in perspective. And then we also talked about expectations and attachments. I briefly mentioned attachments, but yeah, as I mentioned expectations, I was saying how our mind can think things are meant to be a certain way, and when reality doesn't match our expectations, sometimes if you're skillful, that can motivate you and make you feel excited. But yeah, there's all these different ways we can react when our expectations don't match reality. And so I encourage us to imagine that For now and everything in the past, we fully accept. Our minds are completely engaged with reality as it is. So we can then release expectations and be free to create instead intentions or the things that we want to cultivate or practice. I want to clarify that, if someone's not treating you great, you might get to a point where you think, okay, I really want to set that they're going to be kind to me. And if not, I'm going to spend time with other people. Setting yourself boundaries or like expectations of what you want to have in your life, that's a different thing. That's setting a future thing and making a decision as to what you're going to create for yourself. And I think that's healthy. Choosing what you want to have in your life is great. But what you've got right now, right in front of you, being able to be fully present with that, that's the gift that I'm talking about. It's the thing with language and words and the nuances of how they can be used in different places in slightly different ways. So yeah, that's why I had to clarify. I'm talking about our expectations where our mind is not matching reality as it is. So yeah, we talked about being present with what is in the present moment. We noticed expectations are when our mind doesn't match reality. I also mentioned attachments. So attachments are similar to expectations, but let me give some examples of where you can see them differently. So let's just say I've had this awesome VR set and I love it. And I have controllers that I've decorated that are awesome. And then one day they get smashed. That controller's smashed. Now, if you're completely accepting reality, you're like, oh, I need a new controller. You get a new controller, everything's fine. But you can see a mind that is not completely accepting reality may sometimes be like, oh, I really wanted that controller forever, and the decorations I did, I wanted them forever, and they can't be broken, it can't be smashed. Like, you can fill in the gaps of all the things a mind could do rather than just accepting what is. And so you could think of that as being attached to the controller that I had. The reality is it's gone. And attachments is another time where your mind is not in alignment with what reality actually is. And it doesn't have to be things that break. It could also be that maybe you had a friend and every time you saw them, they gave you a hug and they were so kind. And then a couple years later, you maybe didn't see each other for a while and you see them and maybe they're cold. Maybe they're warmer than most, but they're just not as warm as they were. And if you're attached to how warm they were, you might be thinking, oh, they're cold to me now, rather than noticing that they're still really nice to you. So whenever we have attachments or like expectations of how things are going to be, there's a chance that our mind's going to be less skillful with how we respond to that thing. So for me, attachment and expectations are kind of the same thing. There's just some times where I'm like, oh, it's easier to call that one an expectation or it's easier to call that an attachment. But sometimes either word would work. But I'm just giving you both of these words as mental tools. So whenever you notice, oh yeah, right now I'm attached to a thing, or right now I'm expecting it to be a certain way, there's a chance for you to just go, hey, what would it be like if I just accepted what's here? And what do I then choose next? So I'm feeling like I'd like to open up to questions, people here or on the live stream. Maybe there's like one little subtopic we can do more, and then I'd like to guide a meditation for us all to internalize more of that presence and practice being the state of mind that is accepting and has non-attachment and is able to move through whatever situation with skillfulness. So, does anyone have any questions or responses to what I just shared? Seth, you seem pretty keen. Let's hear it.
How do you deal with death, but not just death, but like everything not existing? Like, how do you deal with the whole universe not existing? Like, how would you?
Thanks for starting with a simple question. That's great.
Yeah, well, why not?
Yeah, exactly. No, sorry for the sarcasm. I actually don't like sarcasm. No, I think that's a great question. We had a whole session on death in the YouTube history that I'd love you to go and explore, because there's a lot more nuances than what I'm about to say. But yeah, so if I go back to the things I've just said about accepting what is, in Western psychology, they say that people have 8 stages of dealing with death. There's anger and denial and sadness and rah. And it ends with acceptance. And in Buddhist philosophy, they don't say the 8 stages, but they say, like, there's a time where you haven't accepted, and there's a time where you've accepted. And so there's a question I always like to ask when I lose somebody is, let's say in 10 or 20 years from now, all the pain's gone, everything, and I've cultivated how I want to have this person for the rest of my life. So when I was around 20, I lost one of my best friends. He was amazing. And when I think of him now, it's just pure inspiration. I've got these great stories to tell. He was wise and funny, and he was great. And I guess what I would encourage anybody to do is, when we're confronted with something hard, like someone passing away, is to actually ask yourself, well, what do I want to practice? What's the love or the appreciating that I want to have for this person? And how can I help everyone else also remember the good stories and love them and appreciate them? Accept that, if they've passed away, there's nothing we can do other than love them and love one another. And that, some people might say, oh, that's easier said than done. But then I'm just going to say it again and keep saying it until we focus on that and just really be like, I'm putting my focus now on accepting this has happened, and what do I do next? Blah, all these other reactions, but I'm going to just, with strength, put my focus here. How do I want to love them? How do I want to remember them? How do I want to help the other people around? That process is what's helped me most. You could adjust that. The thing that I would rock solid suggest is that knowing that acceptance of reality gives us the most power. And getting to acceptance as soon as possible is wonderful. The way I described that I did it, I hope you find that also beautiful or inspiring or something you can work with. If you're in our Discord, or if you want to ask afterwards, I could link you to our whole session about people passing away. I think the first one we live streamed of these was right after my dad had died. So yeah, it was pretty raw and like real, and I think it was a beautiful session. So I could share that with you afterwards. Or if you already have access to our YouTube channel, you can just look at the history, and it's the first one that's in VR. It's really easy to see. That's that one. And I'm going to mention the other thing you just said about dealing with that at some point all of the universe may no longer exist, and then we can hear if there's any questions or comments about it. So yeah, in 1 billion years from now, the sun's going to expand and engulf our solar system. And if we never get out of this solar system and everything is eaten away, I still think it's good that we had a good time while we were here. If I was going to never wake up tomorrow, I still think it's good that we had to have this moment together, that I have a feeling of caring, which is beautiful. It's better that it exists than it didn't exist.
He may have crashed. We'll be back.
Wait. I'm still here.
Oh, all good.
Wait, can you guys hear me?
This is cool. Do you know what the group?
Hey to everyone on the live stream. I'm just rejoining that world. So, hi, everybody. Thanks for your patience. Creek, I'm back.
Yeah, well,
Hi, everyone.
turn my mic off. Hang on.
Can you hear me now?
Welcome back.
Hey, thanks.
Sorry, I'm just getting the
I
link.
can.
It's so surreal. I was actually here for another minute while you guys were like, "Oh, he's crashed," and I came over. I was like, "Can't you hear me?" that was wild. Okay. So what were we saying? So that session about people passing away, if you look at the YouTube channel, it's the first one that's VR. It's pretty obvious that the difference between the real world video and the VR video. So, and I can send it to you, Seth, and I think I heard you asking about the
I'm
Discord.
just trying to find my phone. Sorry.
That's okay. But then one thing that gives me hope to the other part of your question about non-existing is that I hope in the next 1 billion years that the human race has gone to Mars, has filled the solar system, and has sent things out into the galaxy. And I think it's something like 100 billion years. They predict that the energy of the atoms in the universe will start to degrade. But I hope in 100 billion years from now, human technology or the technology of other beings in the universe has figured out how to harness the stars and capture the hydrogen before it all gets burned away, and even how to stick the atoms together and so they don't degrade. I love our ingenuity and our brilliance, and I find that something inspiring. We're not just living our life for ourselves. We're possibly saving the future of the universe. It's one reason I love science and rationality so much, because reality actually needs us. For those of you on the live stream, Seth, who asked the questions, already left. So,
No, I'm here. I'm just trying to get the QR code, but I can't take a photo of real life. And
okay. To me, you're outside the temple. Anyway, Seth, I hope you could hear that, and I hope that was a nice answer. One moment, if anyone's on the live stream, I see there's people on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. shoot me a question if you'd like to. Otherwise, I'm going to dive into a meditation in just a moment. Or does anyone else here have a question or a comment?
Hey, well, when should you forgive someone then? If you said let go of attachments that don't serve you because people have mistreated you, on the other side of it, when should and if should you forgive somebody?
That is a beautiful question. So my answer is the moment they do the thing. I need to qualify that, obviously. But if you know that everyone is the way they are because of what's happened to them, all you can do is accept that's who they are. They do something maybe thoughtlessly or accidentally. Certainly I would try to be loving and understanding. They might do something out of anger or malice, but that's probably because something has made them angry, or they never learned how to deal with those angry moments. So if you have cultivated a mind that's fully present with the universe as it actually is, and this person as it actually is, if there was a wild animal who did something that hurt you, you might protect yourself, but all you can do is be understanding of that creature. And similarly to people, if we fully accept that people are because of causes and conditions, all we can have is understanding. So yes, we sometimes definitely need to make ourselves safe. Sometimes we definitely need to make some distance between us and someone, or not give them access to things where they could hurt us. With wisdom, I hope you can always make things great for yourself. But in terms of your emotional reaction or anger or what's the opposite of forgiveness? I don't even remember the word. But in terms of how you see them and understand them, I hope that you have so much understanding that forgiveness doesn't even exist anymore. Like, you just are instantly understanding. And then you then choose, what do I do next? Now, to back that up, perhaps someone did something that people would think everyone has to be angry about. That thing is terrible. And if your response is to see that that person is hurting and never had someone tell them they're loved, your response after they hurt you is to say, hey, I love you and I want you to be happy. That could touch that person so much that they become kind to everybody for the rest of their life. And I know that's like a cliche story, but that happens sometimes. And being empowered that you can make those choices in every moment, that's the ultimate goal I have for all of us. To be fully present and understanding and fully able to choose. There's an enlightened being statue at the back of the room. Some people think that's a Buddha. Prince Gautama, the original Buddha who started this whole thing, he used to say that anger or judgment is like holding a red-hot iron ball and expecting that it will hurt the other person. It's just hurting yourself. So to let go of all of those anger and judgment is actually a gift to yourself more than to them.
What if you let them go then? What if you have no anger and you just cast them out and let them go? You go your own way.
If that's...
Isn't that the same or is it different?
So let me clarify. Are you saying you've got no anger, you let them go, you let them move on from your life, and then you move on and you've got hopefully better people in your life. Is that the scenario you were painting?
Possibility, or you can try to rebuild something. Like when you say, "Hey, sorry isn't enough." Like, what do you? How do you weigh the two? Like Buddha was forgiving. You talked about death. I guess Buddha was a prince, right? And he had ran away. He left his wife and his child, and he had ran away. And after he had reached enlightenment, his followers came to him one day and said to him his kingdom had been conquered, and they took your family and all the royal people, all your family, everyone, and they put them in a pit with elephants, and they were all trampled to death. And that's how I've heard it. The story.
I
It could be true. Maybe
I haven't heard the story of them being conquered and trampled. I think it's very accepted that he left his family, and he had a lot of spiritual beliefs early in his life because of the environment that he'd grown up in that I don't also hold. So he made choices I wouldn't make.
I've heard that his family was. I heard that in a documentary. It was on like PBS, so I figured it to be somewhat very accurate. Maybe it's not, maybe it is. But what the Buddha did next was like profound. So when they told the Buddha, I mean, he could have done anything. He's the enlightened one, maybe the awakened one. He's the one at all peace. The Buddha himself cried. So not even the enlightened one had overcome pain. It's like pain is to live. People like inflict pain on you. You see what I'm saying?
Like I said, I've never heard this story, and
A documentary.
yeah, my understanding of
It's accurate. Maybe it's not.
yeah, I've heard so many different stories in so many different places. I kind of don't believe any of them anymore.
That one of that is kind of stayed with me though.
I would hope that we can all get into a state of mind that no matter what happens, you will choose how you want to react. I think that's all I want to say. With your question about forgiving people, whether you just let them go, same thing. There's billions of people in the world. Who you choose to spend time with and what you choose to make your community, I hope you do that wisely and you make your people, that you are a wonderful influence on them and they're a wonderful influence on you and you have a good time. I hope you make your life wonderful. I hope this community becomes a part of your communities. And as well as that, every person you speak to, every interaction you have, has a little or a big impact on them. So I hope you can also choose that all of your impacts make things better, whether someone's in your circle or out. What you actually choose and what you create in your life, that's the art form. That's for each one of us to decide. We all have different circumstances and different history, so I definitely don't want to say what I would prescribe. I just want to give you the tools that you have more options, that you can...
They say there's no wrong or right. Not to interrupt you. You say there is no wrong or right then in how you deal with them. As long as you don't hate them.
Yeah, I think cause no pain is a pretty good rule. And is there no wrong or right? I could tell you what I think's wrong or right, but Creek here, who he and I have been studying together for months, his wrong or right would be subtly different to mine, and someone else in a totally different group would be very certain their idea of wrong and right is also correct, even though it's different to me. So honestly, I don't know how to say what is true, wrong, or right. But yeah, what you said about cause no pain, I think that's a pretty good foundation. I would like a world where we all strive for that at the very least. And I don't try to think of wrong and right for myself. I try to think of most good. How can I speak or be that will be a positive influence? How could I be more of a positive influence? So, if there's a choice that something's maybe wrong, I'll try and find a choice where I've got, okay, this one's good and this one's great, and I'll try and go for the great. That's how I try to approach things. And I'm glad you asked that, because I'm reminded of times in the last couple of weeks where there was moments where I didn't speak to someone in a way that was good or great, where I was reacting to something dangerous they were saying in a way that was unskillful. So, yeah, the more every one of us reminds each other to try and be a positive influence, reminds each other to be mindful, the more it helps you. The more you reflect on it and practice it, the better you become. Oh, so one last thing I'd like to say before the meditation, unless there's any other burning questions, is I talked about being mindful, being aware in the present moment, and then being able to choose great reactions. And that's great, totally great. We'd love us all to be enlightened and mindful in every moment. But in all honesty, we do have reactions. We do have habits that we have. And yes, ideally, we'd meditate enough that we have mastered all of them, and in every moment we're fully free. Definitely would love us all to get to that state. But where you do have emotional habits or other habits or other reactions that maybe will kick in faster than you're able to be mindful about, we can change those habits. Just now I was talking about the way you talk to people to be a positive influence. And just saying that, I felt a couple of little places within myself being touched by that idea, so that these two places that needed to hear that heard it. And I imagined, while I was talking to you guys, I imagined what I want to do next time I'm in that situation. Not clear enough that I know what to do, but clear enough that I'm like, hey, I want to practice that before I'm in that situation next time. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we can practice, we can rehearse how we want to be. I wouldn't recommend waiting until someone's died to be like, yeah, I'm super present, I'm cool with everything. I would recommend imagining that you're that kind of person. Next time you're in that situation, you're going to tune in to this strength and wisdom and love and be able to give that love to everyone around and cherish the person. I would say rehearse that in your mind a bunch of times so that it's trained into you. The other day I was driving and someone cut us off, and I've tried to minimize driving in my life. I try to be kind to the planet, and I don't have the instant reaction to beat my horn, but in that moment that was definitely the right thing to do. So I spent the next minute just putting my foot, oh, you can't see my foot, the full body track, there we go. So I spent the next minute putting my foot on the brake and hand on the horn, just over and over, to train my nervous system that next time I'm in that situation, brakes on and the hands at the ready. And so next time I'm there, I won't need to think about it. I'll be ready to choose. And the same thing with sports skills and public speaking and having deep conversations with people you care about. All these things can be practiced. so that when the real situation hits you, you're ready. So I think I'd like to start a meditation now. Is everybody ready for that? Wonderful. Okay. Well, I invite everybody to get comfortable in your chair. Take a deep breath. Everyone on the live stream or watching us in the future, I invite you to just set everything else aside and give yourself this gift. Take a slow, deep breath and decide that if you hear my baby in the background or any other noises, you'll just respond with, deeper into meditation. Your mind, your awareness, you are the master of it. You're becoming more and more the creator of every moment of your consciousness. So I'm going to take us deeper into meditation. Close your eyes if they're not already closed. You can imagine the eyes becoming heavy. And then you can feel your face. Imagine all the muscles in your face. And some of you'll notice that just by feeling the muscles in the face, they relax, they become peaceful, and a look of serenity comes across your face. And some of you might like to move your attention through the muscles and imagine that relaxation, that peace, the look of calm across your face. And I want to capture you into the meditation, like help you catch yourself. So maybe imagine the muscles in your face more vividly, or maybe imagine the sun on your face, or imagine your favorite color, or being face painted. Feel each part of your face with as much of your mind as you can. You could be seeing it. You could be feeling it. And then with even more vividness, feel the muscles in your neck and in your shoulders. Take a deep breath and feel your shoulders move with the breath. Hey little Neo, take a deep breath and be peace. And on your next deep breath, feel your lungs expand and let go. And then feel the arms, let them relax. Feel the muscles in your lower back and your hips and your legs. If you're new to meditation, I invite you to just notice how your mind is right now. And there are amazing feelings within you. There are states of consciousness that are so powerful, beyond anything you knew was possible. Just like you never would have known what a roller coaster was like until you rode a roller coaster. The same is true about taking yourself into meditation. So as you feel your whole body, just feel your whole body while you take some deep breaths and notice how you can transform how your body and your mind feels. And for those of you who've experienced transforming your consciousness in meditation, maybe you've become beautifully relaxed or have a deep sense of peace. Imagine your consciousness transformed every moment. Imagine if every moment of your life was this profound peace, this bliss, this wisdom, this wild strength, this goodness. And if you're new to meditation, perhaps you could just let yourself remember some of the topics from tonight. You could practice them, or you could feel them. So I wish for you every day to have many moments where you let go of all stories and just be present with what is. I wish for you to do that so often that it's always a part of you. I wish for you to notice any time your expectations or your story is not serving you, and to just let it go. To envisage yourself as someone who is always the creator of each moment. You watch your mind like an artist watches its paintbrush, careful with each stroke. Imagine you're careful with each moment of your awareness. You could notice your awareness right now. Notice how your mind moves right now. And imagine every day feeling more a master of how your mind moves. how your feelings move, how your awareness moves. So I'm going to ring the bell, and then as each one of us leaves the temple and bows to the enlightened being, I invite you to make that a meditation however you wish. You could see the part of you that is perfectly wise, that loves goodness. You could appreciate the thousands of teachers who have impacted everybody here to make this moment we just shared. You could perhaps envisage a world where everyone has practiced mindfulness and goodness that has taken over everything within us. As you bow to that enlightened being, dedicate yourself to whatever goodness you imagine. Dedicate the time that we shared here to the most wonderful thing you can imagine. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So everyone here, can we perhaps give a bow to everybody on the live stream? Not just the people who are here right now, but to everyone who will ever join us. I hope you can watch again, can practice the meditations again, and share it with your friends. Thanks, everyone.